This creepy doll will always find and come back to you, no matter how hard you try to get rid of it. In 2013, a girl received an Elsa doll as her Christmas gift, but it was haunted. The doll had a little necklace that when you press it would make it speak, but after 2 years, it started speaking in Spanish. Once they had had the doll for 6 years, they realized they hadn't changed the batteries once, and it would talk even when turned off. So the family said, "We're getting rid of this doll," and trashed it. But then 2 weeks later, they found the doll hiding in a bench back inside their house. Now feeling creeped out, they took the doll, put it in 2 bags, left it out for the garbage man, and watched him take it away. Then went out to go grab something from the store, and when they got home, the same doll was waiting for them in their backyard. So they took the doll and sent it to a friend in Minnesota, and thankfully it hasn't come back since.
Morbid Facts, Part 11. In 1984, magician and comedian Tommy Cooper died of a heart attack while performing live on stage. Thinking it was all part of the show, the audience continued to laugh and clap as the man spent his final moments gasping for air. 26-year-old Bella Kilmartin has a rare condition that sends her body to sleep when she experiences strong emotions. She once almost drowned in a pool after laughing at a joke caused her to pass out. The Bunker brothers were a pair of conjoined twins who made the term Siamese twins popular. They were a famous sideshow act in North Carolina until one day one of the brothers woke up to find that his twin had died. In a panic, he called a surgeon to perform an emergency separation, but it was already too late. He would die just 2 hours later as a result of shock. Anton syndrome is a rare psychological condition that can affect people who suddenly go blind. They are completely unaware of their blindness and outright deny it, since their brain generates false images, causing them to believe that they can still see. In 2013, a Brazilian woman confessed to lacing her cooter with poison so that her husband would die when he went down on her. In November of 2004, Peter Porco was struck 16 times in the head with an axe while he was asleep in his New York home. But he miraculously woke up the next morning, made breakfast and coffee for himself, and finally fell dead after picking up his newspaper. His body was in so much shock that he was completely unaware of his battered state and the pools of blood all around him.
Crazy tech facts you didn't know. The first computer mouse ever created was made out of wood back in 1964. Your smartphone has more computing power than NASA used to land a man on the moon back in 1969. The first bug in a computer was an actual insect found stuck inside the computer. 9 out of 10 people feel panicked when their phone battery drops to 20% or lower. But you don't have to be one of those people as long as you have the Qtech 10 power bank. It's only 10,000 milliamp hours but pumps out 100 watts to charge my devices super fast. It's super lightweight like an energy bar. It also has a super cool screen that shows me the voltages and battery levels in real time. Plus it recharges itself to 55% in just 15 minutes with a 90-watt charger. Whether I'm working, gaming or just scrolling TikTok, this thing keeps my devices alive. You can grab it now, the link is in my bio.
This is why you should be scared of jogging down trails at night. Jason said that he used to jog a trail behind his house almost every night. It was peaceful, just trees and dirt and the occasional owl or hawk. He said that he's always loved birds, so when he heard the sound of wings flapping overhead, he slowed down, thinking that maybe he'd spotted something rare. But he said that it didn't sound like the flutter of feathers. It was heavier, thicker almost, leathery. Then he heard a rustling sound in the big oak tree to his left. He said that he stepped off the trail, squinting into the branches. His heart skipped. He thought maybe that it was an eagle, but it wasn't. He said that perched on the tree was something that he'll never forget. Man-shaped and tall, wings wrapped around it like a cloak, red eyes glowing from a face that looked almost human, but wrong in every way. Jason said that it turned its head towards him. He couldn't breathe. His whole body locked up for a few seconds. And then he ran, harder than he's ever run in his life. He said that the flapping sound followed him and it sounded like it was getting closer, but he never looked back. Not until he hit the street light at the edge of the trail. He spun around, gasping, ready to see it swooping toward him, but it was gone. Just trees, silence. Jason said that he doesn't jog that trail anymore, and he never will again.
Here's why you should always stay away from clowns. In 2004, a babysitter was babysitting a couple kids when she noticed something odd in the corner of the room. There was this really creepy clown statue, and no matter how she kind of moved herself, she always felt like it was looking right at her. She then got a call from the parents to see how the kids were doing. She said, yeah, everything's going alright, but what's with that clown statue? There was an eerie silence for a second, and the parents answered, we don't own a clown statue. The babysitter immediately ran upstairs, grabbed the kids, and ran outside. She quickly called 911, and this is what the cops found. They said they found the clown hiding under one of the kids' beds with a sharpened screwdriver. Thank goodness you got out of there when you did. He was ready.
In a small town in Turkey, we found the tallest woman in the world.
Hi Nastali, my name is Rumeysa Yagi.
She's so tall that she can't fit into doors or cars. She is 2 meters, 15 centimeters. That's like 2 people stacked on top of each other. When she was a baby, Rumeysa was diagnosed with Weaver's syndrome, which made her grow super tall, super fast, and even caused a curve in her spine. Because of it, she has to move around in this wheelchair and can only travel in this van. But Rumeysa is not ashamed of her height. She feels special because of it. She won 5 Guinness World Records. She uses her fame to educate millions of people about Weaver's syndrome. And she also has a job as a freelance programmer.
There is more to me than my height.
Rumeysa may be from a small town, but she is a big inspiration to all of us. That's 1 minute. See you tomorrow.
I found a guy in Thailand who eats chicken feather. Not the meat, not the wings, chicken feather.
Hi, my name is Sarwood, and I found a way to make meat from feathers.
Turns out, chicken feathers are chemically similar to chicken meat. That's why Surawat decided to take some feathers, turn them into liquid, put them in food thickeners, mix them up, add some spices, put the mixture, let it cook for hours, and made delicious meat from feathers. It looks like meat and tastes like meat. This idea sounds crazy and maybe disgusting, but as our population grows, the need for food grows as well. His idea is to not waste any food or any animal. If we're gonna eat meat, then let us eat 100% of the chickens, even the feathers. That's 1 minute. See you tomorrow.
She was pregnant for 2 years and then gave birth to a goat. 28-year-old Alphonsine lived in Nigeria with her husband and 6 kids. She was pregnant with her 7th child, and her husband were patiently waiting for the arrival of their baby. It seemed like everything was going well in her pregnancy until her last trimester. Alphonsine was now in her 9th month, typically when a baby is born, but she still didn't go into labor. She went to the doctor to see if something was wrong with the baby, and they told her it would be better if she was referred to a more specialized hospital. Alphonsine didn't have the money to go to a different kind of hospital, so she decided just to go home and wait it out. As she was waiting, days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and still no baby. At this point, she has now been pregnant for 2 years. One day, Alphonsine starts to have excruciating pain and goes into labor at home. As she is in labor, she starts pushing and something comes out, but it's not a baby, it's a goat. Where she lived, it was a very small village, and word quickly spread around that she gave birth to a goat. Many people started to believe that this was an act of witchcraft from someone who wished evil on her marriage. And others thought that she was just lying, just doing this for attention. However, this greatly affected her husband because he felt like she had evil spirits, so he left her and their 6 kids. Since her husband left her, Alphonsine decided to go live with her mother, and she became the laughing stock of the village. He vowed to never come back, and he ended up marrying a different woman. Alphonsine truly believes that someone used witchcraft to ruin her marriage.
Morbid Facts, Part 2. This Florida man developed star-shaped cataracts after he was zapped by 14,000 volts of electricity. While he got some of his vision back after surgery, he's still legally blind as a result of the mishap. In 2007, a man from Florida woke up in the middle of the night with a severe headache. After he drove to the hospital, doctors found a bullet in his head. Turned out his wife attempted to murder him in his sleep by shooting him in the head. In 2012, a woman from New York donated her kidney to save the life of her boss, but her boss then fired her when she took too long to recover from the operation. In 2001, a woman from Texas hit a homeless man with her car and his body became lodged in her windshield. She drove home with him still stuck in her car and repeatedly apologized to the man when he was in her garage. But she never called for help, and the man died 2 days later still stuck in the woman's windshield. She ended up receiving 50 years in prison for the bizarre murder.
I just got done watching Peter Pan Neverland Nightmare, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm pleasantly surprised. Going into the movie, I wasn't sure what I was expecting. A movie around the dark theory behind Peter Pan, where he isn't saving the kids, he's unaliving them. And trust me when I tell you, some of the unalivings in this movie are absolutely insane. Back when Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 came out, I compared some of the unalivings to something out of a Terrifier movie, just because it's extremely over the top. And trust me when I tell you, this movie 100% delivers on some gory stuff. But if you're looking for a super serious slasher, I don't think it's this movie. It's definitely a lot of fun, and the movie itself is really good. Serious? I don't know about that. It's also made by the same directors who made Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey and Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2, who are also creating a massive cinematic universe called the Pooniverse, which is set to release sometime this year, combining all of their horror movie characters. All of the characters from Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2, all of the characters from Peter Pan Neverland Nightmare, all of the characters from Bambi the Reckoning, which has to do with an undead deer aka Bambi, and some undead bunnies. On top of that, the final movie to release in this whole entire cinematic universe, at least this year that's been announced, is Pinocchio Unstrung. But we're still set to get all of these characters inside of the Pooniverse, but I just don't know how it's gonna work. I almost forgot to mention, Captain Hook in this movie, Bro's one of them ones. Don't forget to like and follow for more.
Morbid Facts, Part 11. In 1984, magician and comedian Tommy Cooper died of a heart attack while performing live on stage. Thinking it was all part of the show, the audience continued to laugh and clap as the man spent his final moments gasping for air. 26-year-old Bella Kilmartin has a rare condition that sends her body to sleep when she experiences strong emotions. She once almost drowned in a pool after laughing at a joke caused her to pass out. The Bunker brothers were a pair of conjoined twins who made the term Siamese twins popular. They were a famous sideshow act in North Carolina until one day one of the brothers woke up to find that his twin had died. In a panic, he called a surgeon to perform an emergency separation, but it was already too late. He would die just 2 hours later as a result of shock. Anton syndrome is a rare psychological condition that can affect people who suddenly go blind. They are completely unaware of their blindness and outright deny it, since their brain generates false images, causing them to believe that they can still see. In 2013, a Brazilian woman confessed to lacing her cooter with poison so that her husband would die when he went down on her. In November of 2004, Peter Porco was struck 16 times in the head with an axe while he was asleep in his New York home. But he miraculously woke up the next morning, made breakfast and coffee for himself, and finally fell dead after picking up his newspaper. His body was in so much shock that he was completely unaware of his battered state and the pools of blood all around him.
This is one of the darkest human experiments in history. It's called the Little Albert experiment, and this baby is Little Albert. And two psychologists literally taught him how to have a phobia of something he didn't have before. And unfortunately, that was just the tip of the iceberg in terms of how unethical this was. So here's the full story. Reminder, I cover a lot of dark stories on this channel. Severe discretion is advised, but follow along if you want to hear more. In 1920, a psychologist named John Watson and his assistant wanted to see if they could create a conditioned fear response in a baby. Bear in mind that in 1920, the science of psychology was still like the Wild West and very much in its infancy. So like ethics and potential negative psychological effects were like never considered. So here's how the experiment worked. They showed little Albert a bunch of animals, like a dog, a monkey, a cat, and a little white rat. And at first, no big deal. He wasn't scared at all. He actually tried to play with them. But then things took a turn. The next time they brought out the animals, they paired it with a terrifying, loud noise over and over again. And the result? After doing this enough times, little Albert just started to freak out at the sight of the animals, but it didn't stop there. His fear started to become generalized. Little Albert became scared of anything fluffy. They made this child afraid of soft things, like stuffed animals, cotton, coats, even the psychologist's beard. And if that's not bad enough, here's the worst part. These psychologists never unconditioned him. He was never untaught the fear. And I'm sure you're asking about his mother. So first off, little Albert's mother was never informed about what the doctors were doing to her child. I'm not even joking. So without this knowledge, she took her child and she moved away. So there was no help, no follow-up, the experiment just ended. And what happened to little Albert remains a mystery. He's basically been reduced to a chapter in a textbook about how we intentionally traumatized a baby in the name of science. Researchers have speculated for decades on his true identity, but the truth is that we'll really never know what became of little Albert. We don't know if he died young or lived a long life with a fear of anything white and fluffy. What we do know is that as a baby, little Albert was subjected to inhumane and unethical treatment. Scientists taught him to associate comfort with terror, and then they abandoned him. And it continues today to be one of those experiments that broadens the space between curiosity and cruelty.
Okay, so what's actually going on with these bodies being found in the Chicago River? And is it really a serial killer? So in the last month, several bodies have washed ashore in the Chicago River and in Lake Michigan. And so far, police don't think that the deaths are related. So one obvious explanation could be that the weather's just warming up and bodies that were trapped under layers of ice are now rising to the surface. But that doesn't explain how they got there in the first place. Let's not forget that since 1999, there's been over 50 women who have been killed by what they believe is a serial killer, one that has still never been found. Most of these women were Black, many of them were sex workers, and none of them have been solved. This so-called Chicago Strangler could still be out there. And it's quite possible that as more bodies wash ashore, more answers about this could be found.
Morbid Facts, Part 4. When a group of loggers were cutting off the top of a chestnut oak tree in 1980, they found the mummified remains of a hunting dog. Experts believe that it chased its prey up the tree in the 1960s, only to get stuck there and eventually die. He was posthumously named Stucky. This endangered baby dolphin in Argentina died shortly after this photo was taken because beachgoers were passing it around for selfies. If you hit someone with your car in China, you have to pay for their medical care. But if you kill someone with your car in China, you only have to pay a one-time fine. For this reason, many Chinese drivers have gone back to kill the person they hit. Refrigerator doors are only magnetic because children used to die inside of them. Before the Refrigerator Safety Act of 1956, the doors could only be opened by pulling the handle on the outside, which resulted in the deaths of many children who found abandoned refrigerators and got trapped inside of them while playing hide and seek before eventually suffocating.
He lost his virginity to his mom's corpse. On March 27th of 2014, 18-year-old Kevin Davis was frustrated, bored with life, and told his mom that he didn't like people and he wanted to end his life. His mom, 50-year-old Kimberly, was caught off guard at first, but told him that if that's what he really wanted to do, she couldn't stop him. When Kevin heard this, he became enraged, and instead of taking his own life, he was going to take his mom's life. As Kimberly was sitting on the couch watching TV, Kevin came behind her and strangled her with a cord. She started to scream, so Kevin panicked, grabbed a hammer, and smashed her skull with it. He hit her with that hammer at least 20 times, which split her skull. Kevin then grabbed a kitchen knife and inserted it into his mother's head and swirled around her brain to make sure that she was actually dead. He would then put his hand inside his mother's wound and described it as putty. But Kevin wasn't done there. He then dragged his mom's lifeless body to her bedroom and S.A.'d her. Once Kevin was done, he went to a nearby neighbor's house and told them that he had unalived someone, so they called 911. Once Kevin was at the police station, he gave a full confession, giving all of the details. When he was talking with detectives, he told them that he always had this fantasy of doing it with a corpse, and now he finally lost his virginity. Kevin claimed that his mother was such a good mother and she truly did not deserve that. He was just a horrible person, but if he were to ever get released, he would do it again. Kevin was sentenced to life in prison, but will be eligible for parole in March of 2044.
Apparently, Ms. Vallow also attempted service on another one of the next of kin in Louisiana, Larry Woodcock. Again, that information, including his address, which she should not have access to, and in violation of victims' rights and the Arizona Constitution, was filed with the clerk's office. So we have multiple people that she's subpoenaing that are not on her 15.2, that she's violating victims' rights for. So I'm going to ask, of course, the court seal that subpoena as well, since it includes his address.
All right, it's ordered sealing any subpoena that was filed relating to Larry Woodcock. Do you have outstanding subpoenas on next of kin or, well, let's start with there. Next of kin?
Let me check, Your Honor. Check on that, Your Honor, but not that we're aware of.
As to the extent that you have subpoenas for next of kin on either of your cases, you need to coordinate the service of those subpoenas through the county attorney's office. They can facilitate in that and getting those people served if they are indeed witnesses that have relevant information in these cases.
And both of those people, Your Honor, Robert Vallow and Larry Woodcock, were not on my list and were not intended to be subpoenaed. So it was an oversight.
So I don't know how OPDS got that information to serve them subpoenas. So someone on your team needs to double check with OPDS that the correct people are being subpoenaed.
And Your Honor, they are signed by the defendant. So
all right.
She is the one who's signing those subpoenas. She is the one acting as counsel. So she is the one asking to send those out.
So how was it an oversight?
I just signed them all, and we got them prepared, and I signed them all, and I did not check them. It's my own fault. But I apologize to the families.
So do you know the names of all the people you subpoenaed, or you just signed a stack of subpoenas?
I did sign the stack, but I thought I was aware of all that they were the ones that I had asked to subpoena.
For this trial or for the next one as well?
Just for this one. We haven't done our subpoenas yet for the next trial.
I'll try. And for the next trial, I need you to be more diligent in what you're signing